The moment parents bring twins home, the world suddenly feels crowded. Friends appear at the door carrying balloons. Relatives flood the living room with advice. Neighbors send messages asking when they can visit, and everyone seems convinced they are helping. Yet behind exhausted smiles and grateful thank yous, many parents silently struggle with a question they are afraid to ask out loud. When does support stop feeling like love and start feeling like an invasion? The birth of twins doubles the joy, but it also doubles the vulnerability, exhaustion, and emotional pressure inside a home already trying to adapt to chaos. Some visitors become unforgettable blessings during those sleepless nights, while others unintentionally create stress, guilt, and emotional fatigue. Today, we are exploring the complicated, emotional, and deeply human reality of receiving visitors after the birth of twins. Welcoming twins into the world transforms every part of a family's life overnight. The routines disappear, sleep becomes unpredictable, emotions intensify, and suddenly the home becomes a space filled with diapers, feeding schedules, crying, love, anxiety, and survival. In the middle of this overwhelming transition, visitors begin arriving with good intentions, curiosity, excitement, and opinions. Some truly help carry the emotional weight of those early weeks, while others unknowingly add pressure to parents already struggling to breathe between responsibilities. This conversation is not about blaming family or rejecting love. It is about understanding the fragile emotional space new parents occupy after the birth of twins and why boundaries sometimes become necessary for survival. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your own experiences in the comments, because stories like these remind exhausted parents that they are never alone. The first days after bringing twins home often feel less like a celebration and more like entering a storm without preparation. Parents move through the house in a state somewhere between joy and exhaustion, barely understanding what time it is while trying to feed to babies whose needs rarely align. In the middle of this emotional fog, the doorbell begins ringing. Family members arrive carrying gifts. Friends stop by hoping to meet the babies. And relatives who have not visited in years suddenly appear expecting smiles, conversation, and gratitude. Many parents feel emotionally trapped during these moments because they know the visitors come from a place of love, yet every interaction consumes energy they no longer possess. Even preparing the house for company can feel impossible when laundry covers the furniture and sleep deprivation turns simple tasks into mountains. Parents of twins often discover that people romanticize newborn life without understanding the physical and emotional survival mode happening behind closed doors every single exhausting day. Many visitors genuinely want to help, but true help looks very different from what most people imagine. Real support is not arriving empty-handed expecting coffee and conversation while the parents entertain guests despite running on 2 hours of sleep. Real support is washing dishes without being asked, folding laundry quietly in the background, bringing prepared meals, or holding one baby while the parents finally take a shower. The difference between help and intrusion often comes down to awareness. Some visitors enter the home understanding that they are stepping into a fragile environment where the parent's emotional capacity has nearly disappeared. Others unknowingly make the situation harder by overstaying, criticizing parenting choices, or treating the twins like an attraction instead of recognizing the exhaustion surrounding them. Parents frequently feel guilty admitting these feelings because society teaches them to appreciate every gesture, even when those gestures create stress. Yet emotional honesty matters because gratitude and overwhelm can exist together inside the same exhausted heart without contradiction. One of the most difficult emotional realities for parents of twins is learning how to say no without feeling selfish. Many couples spend weeks silently tolerating uncomfortable visits because they fear disappointing family members or appearing ungrateful. They allow long conversations while desperately needing sleep, accept unannounced visits despite craving privacy, and suppress frustration because everyone around them insists the attention should feel flattering. Over time, this emotional suppression can create resentment, tension between partners, and even feelings of isolation inside a crowded home. Boundaries become necessary not because parents suddenly stop loving their relatives, but because emotional survival requires protecting limited energy. The problem is that many people interpret boundaries as rejection instead of understanding them as an act of preservation. Parents of twins often find themselves navigating emotional minefields where every request for space risks hurting someone's feelings, even when that space is desperately needed to recover physically, mentally, and emotionally during one of life's most vulnerable transitions. Social media has intensified this pressure in ways previous generations never experienced. The moment twins are born, photos begin circulating across family group chats, online comments multiply, and people who barely maintained contact suddenly demand access to the babies. Parents feel pressured to respond to endless messages, share updates, send pictures, and maintain emotional availability while struggling just to survive the day. Some visitors even arrive already carrying expectations shaped by social media fantasies, imagining peaceful newborn moments instead of witnessing the exhaustion, tears, and confusion that often define the early weeks of parenting twins. This digital culture creates invisible pressure on families to perform happiness even during emotional collapse. Many parents quietly compare themselves to polished online images of perfect families with coordinated outfits and spotless homes, wondering why their own reality feels chaotic and overwhelming. The truth rarely shown online is that raising twins often means surviving hour by hour while emotionally adapting to a completely transformed identity, relationship, and household dynamic. Grandparents often play a deeply emotional role during this period, sometimes becoming the greatest source of support and sometimes unintentionally creating tension. Many grandparents arrive with sincere love and decades of parenting experience, believing their advice will comfort exhausted parents. Sometimes it does. Other times, constant suggestions, criticism, or outdated expectations create emotional conflict during an already fragile season. Parents of twins frequently feel caught between respecting older generations and protecting their own parenting instincts. A simple comment about feeding schedules, sleeping arrangements, or household organization can unexpectedly trigger insecurity in parents already questioning every decision they make. Yet many grandparents also become lifesavers, quietly stepping into the chaos without judgment and offering practical support that keeps families emotionally afloat. The emotional complexity comes from the fact that love alone does not automatically create harmony. Even within caring families, different expectations, personalities, and communication styles can transform ordinary visits into emotionally charged experiences during those vulnerable early months after birth. For many mothers of twins, visitors create another hidden emotional burden connected to physical recovery and identity loss. While everyone focuses on the babies, mothers often feel invisible inside their own homes. Their bodies are healing, hormones fluctuate unpredictably, sleep deprivation intensifies emotional sensitivity, and yet visitors frequently expect them to socialize as though nothing extraordinary has happened. Some mothers feel pressured to look presentable, maintain conversation, and appear emotionally stable even while struggling with pain, anxiety, or overwhelming exhaustion. This pressure becomes even heavier when visitors compare their experiences, offer unsolicited parenting advice, or minimize the emotional intensity of caring for twins. Many women quietly grieve the loss of privacy during this period because their home suddenly stops feeling like a sanctuary. Instead, it becomes a revolving door of expectations and interruptions. Beneath the smiles shown to guests, countless mothers secretly crave silence, solitude, and permission to exist without performing strength for everyone surrounding them daily. Fathers of twins also experience emotional pressure that often goes unnoticed by visitors and even extended family members. Society frequently positions fathers as supporters instead of recognizing that they, too, are emotionally overwhelmed, sleep-deprived, and struggling to adapt. Many fathers carry the invisible responsibility of protecting the household emotionally while balancing work, financial stress, and the needs of both their partner and newborn twins. During visits, they often become hosts, problem solvers, and emotional mediators, attempting to keep everyone comfortable while suppressing their own exhaustion. Some feel unable to express frustration because cultural expectations teach men to remain composed during stressful situations. Yet behind closed doors, many fathers quietly experience anxiety, helplessness, and emotional burnout. Visitors may praise the babies, admire the mother's strength, and completely overlook the emotional weight fathers carry during this season. The silence surrounding paternal emotional struggles can leave many men feeling isolated even inside homes filled constantly with relatives, friends, noise, advice, and endless expectations. As weeks pass, many parents begin recognizing which people truly brought peace into their lives and which ones unknowingly increased emotional strain. The visitors remembered most fondly are rarely the loudest or most entertaining. They are the people who respected boundaries, understood exhaustion without needing explanations, and offered practical support without making the parents feel guilty or inadequate. Sometimes the most meaningful visitor is the person who stays only 20 minutes, washes bottles quietly, leaves food in the refrigerator, and understands when the parents need rest more than conversation. These gestures communicate something deeper than politeness. They communicate emotional awareness. Parents of twins often remember these acts for years because they arrived during one of the most physically and emotionally demanding periods of life. In contrast, visitors who demanded attention, overstayed, criticized, or ignored boundaries often become painful memories attached to an already overwhelming chapter. The difference between comfort and intrusion frequently depends less on intention and more on empathy. Over time, many parents of twins develop a stronger understanding of boundaries, communication, and emotional self-protection. They begin realizing that protecting peace inside the home is not selfish, rude, or ungrateful. It is necessary. They learn that saying no to visitors sometimes means saying yes to mental health, recovery, and family stability. Some relationships become stronger after these honest conversations, while others reveal underlying patterns of entitlement or emotional misunderstanding. Parenthood often changes people in ways they never expected, and raising twins accelerates that transformation dramatically. Exhaustion strips away performance, forcing parents to confront what genuinely matters and who truly supports them. Eventually, many families stop apologizing for needing space and start prioritizing emotional balance over social expectations. The experience teaches them that love is not measured by how many visitors enter the home, but by how safe, supported, and emotionally protected the family feels during one of the most vulnerable seasons of their entire lives. The birth of twins brings extraordinary joy, but it also exposes the fragile emotional reality hidden behind smiling family photos and congratulatory messages. Visitors can become sources of comfort, healing, and unforgettable support, yet they can also unintentionally overwhelm parents already carrying emotional and physical exhaustion beyond words. Every family experiences this balance differently, but one truth remains universal. New parents do not need perfection, performance, or constant attention. They need understanding, patience, respect, and space to adapt to a completely new life. Sometimes the greatest act of love is not showing up loudly, but quietly asking what the family truly needs before stepping inside their world. For parents of twins, boundaries are not walls built against love. They are protections built around survival, recovery, and the fragile beginning of a new chapter that deserves compassion more than expectation.